third party sa Windows na. Or humano ni nato si third party sa Windows, then mag Linux ug Mac ta. Then pag Friday is mag network based ta. Pwede resad. So ato i-check unya ang uban kay ga brown out man good to. Pila to kabuk na brown out dagan? Or nibalik na ang kuryente? Sa to nag brown out. Francis, nag brown out pa ka? Mausad amo dia Francis and Hazel. Okay ra ang uban, wala nag brown out. So last view sa ato which is Tiwasone si Windows, which is a third party sa Windows. Okay, so this is a third party on the host based under Windows.
We've covered the Windows firewall and the front end for the Windows firewall, but now let's talk about third-party firewall solutions that we can get for Windows. By installing a third-party firewall, they usually always disable the Windows firewall, but do check to see how it deals with the Windows firewall. The first third-party firewall for Windows I want to talk about is Komodo. This one you can see here, the Komodo Free Firewall. Komodo is a very popular and functional firewall that I have used often, but now struggle to recommend. Komodo have more recently shown to not know what they're doing with some very poor design choices in their bundled in Komodo browser that comes with the Komodo Internet Suite, which you can get as an alternative to this free firewall, which also includes things like antivirus. But if we're just talking about this free firewall here, when you install this, you also get something called Geek Buddy, which is essentially bloatware that has also been known to have security vulnerabilities in it, which is really not good. Komodo is a good firewall, so it's a shame about all this baggage that comes with it now. If you want to try Komodo firewall, just install the firewall, download from here, don't get the full security suite, and then after you've installed it, you want to disable this thing called Geek Buddy that's installed. There's a guide here, if you look at that URL, that will run through how to remove Geek Buddy or fully remove it. When you install Komodo, you're going to get this screen here asking you if you want to do cloud-based behavioral analysis of unrecognized programs. Well, that is good for security, but it's bad for privacy because you're sending information about the programs that you're running. And the other option is about sending anonymous program usage, such as crashes, errors, clicks, etc. There doesn't seem to be any benefit to the user for that, and crashes, if they are memory dumps, I mean, that could have encryption keys and all sorts of things. So you definitely don't want to do that. So you want to unselect those when you see those. It's also going to ask you if you want to change your browser to Yahoo and things like that. Obviously, if you don't want to do that, then don't do it. And a couple of other points on Komodo. It has an internal list of programs that it designates as safe programs, safe processes. But it might be better if you assign your own list or whitelist of programs of the ones that you know and that you approve, as opposed to the Komodo ones. So set the Komodo firewall to use the custom policy. In this mode, the firewall will prompt you about both what it considers safe and unknown applications that try to connect to the internet. This way, you can make the choice yourself. The good thing about third-party firewalls like Komodo is that it tells you what applications are trying to connect outbound, whereas the Windows firewall does not. And it does make it easier for operation if you are prompted when applications are trying to make outbound connections, because those could, of course, be malware trying to create reverse shells and reverse connections. So that's Komodo. Next next firewall that I like and recommend from Hungary is TinyWall. It has a sort of a different approach. It uses this approach for easy whitelisting of applications, so you can establish a list of just the applications that should be allowed to communicate. It's a good lightweight firewall. Its design means you don't need to know the exact ports and protocols that the applications need. You just select them and enable those applications. So this is good, worth checking out. You may like this as an alternative firewall. There's also this, which is Private Wall, which is another firewall you can try and check out. This is also free. Another firewall is GlassWire. There is a free download, and there's also a version you can buy, which is at these costs here, $49 for one-time fee. This is particularly good for monitoring, and you can see very detailed, accurate live monitoring. It also has features like ARP spoof detection, notifies you of unexpected network system file changes, unusual application changes. And you can see per application what it is doing, what it is communicating with. So that's GlassWire. I like that one. Antivirus and security suites also come with firewalls. We do discuss AV in its own section. And of the top-end security suites, these firewalls are just as good as the standalone firewalls that I've just shown you. The difference is that they can tie into the antivirus or security suite system, which you may prefer. For example, here we have Kaspersky, which also has a reputation system that assigns a trust level to applications. Trusted applications can be configured to be allowed through the firewall. This is a feature you may like for a more automated way of allowing or disallowing applications based on its trust that comes from a reputation system. Or you may want to disable this and simply use a firewall that doesn't make trust choices for you. I have previously used Kaspersky, and it has some good features for the firewall that ties in with the antivirus. As another example, so does Bitdefender have antivirus built in with its security suite. And as I said, there is a separate section on antivirus and security suites. And another product, Zone Alarm, which I used back in the day, is another firewall product, but I haven't used recently. For a comparison of antivirus firewall products, have a look at this report by AV Comparatives, or check out the latest report that they have at the time you look at it. If you want some good and detailed suggestions for rules to apply specific to Windows, then I recommend you have a look at this website here. There are some good guidance and rules on setting up the Windows firewall. Now, after all this, is it worth having a host-based firewall on Windows? Well, I think the answer is probably yes, it is. Windows attracts the most malware. Although the firewall offers limited protection against malware that has taken a hold on your device, as the malware can bypass the firewall using any number of methods, the firewall is still a layer of added protection. The firewall is a balance, really, between the administrative effort that it takes versus the somewhat limited protection that it provides. It can protect you against attacks from untrusted devices on the same network that you're on, like if you're using a hotspot or you're traveling, or from other internal devices that are on your network that have been compromised in some way, if of course you have inbound rules that have a deny all. If you use public hotspots frequently and untrusted networks, a host-based firewall would be more important to you. If you don't, then it's less important to you. if you have a lot of untrusted devices on your network, it's more important to you. It is a layer of added protection and can be used for monitoring and logging too.
Okay, so that's it for today's video. Kay basig overloaded na mo niya. Next meeting na ta mo sumpay connection ray problema diri ma'am. Okay. So ang connection ray jud na ato ang problema. Connection ray problema diri ma'am.